Most famous names is currently back on the road with a world tour. From 60s Beatlemania through Wings in the 70s, Paul McCartney has returned with a new band for 11 nights at the Wembley Arena. Cathy McGowan has been to talk to him about life back on the road and rumours of a Beatle reunion.
I expected to be completely wiped out at the end of this section of the tour. People say to me, "You don't half look good on it." You know, I think I'm thriving on it. It's what I do. It's what I like to do. It's how we met. You know, it's what I've been doing all those years, and I find I do love it. It's hard work, but I like getting out there in front of an audience instead of just being in a studio.
Do you still need that? I mean, is it that great buzz from your?
I don't know if I need it, but I love it. You know, I've got other things in my life that I could do without playing to an audience, but it's one of the favourite things. You know, if you've got a song, you record it and you put it out as a record, but you'll only meet a couple of people who come up to you in the street and say, "Oh, I like that record." But if you've got an audience, there's like 10,000 of them all going, and it's like, "Oh, they like it," and you get you get an instant feedback. So I do love that. Probably more than recording in a studio, just more feedback. One of the reasons why I got back on the road is this is a real nice band.
Yes.
A real good group of people to be with. They're very talented. So when you play music with talented people like this, it's a big thrill, you know.
You financed the tour yourself, didn't you?
Well, originally when we were like rehearsing and putting the stage and all that stuff together, we did it all ourselves. But we've ended up doing pretty much the same kind of thing that most people do. On this scale of a tour, it's quite handy to have a sponsor because it's so expensive to take all this stuff around, you know, and take all this stuff to America and Japan and that. So what we were looking for, why I didn't just dive into a sponsorship deal, was to try and keep some kind of integrity, so I didn't have to be holding up a bottle of something and say, "This is the best little shampoo in the world," you know, or all of that stuff. You know, it's very subtle the way we're doing it, and really what happens is they end up helping you with the transport costs. It's the way they do it these days.
Is it? Even with all your money, is it?
Well, I mean, it's not a question of kind of even with all your money. It's like, it's just that, in fact, if you don't do it with a sponsor, you look like you couldn't get a sponsor.
Yes.
I mean, there's two sides to it, you know. And plus, as I say, you know, obviously you do a tour like this to some degree to make money. I mean, I'm not totally in it for the money. It's more really to do it and to play to the audiences and to go out live and so. But obviously, the bottom line is you don't do can't, you know, since John's death, you can't reform the Beatles. It's impossible. People then say, well, you know, you could get Julian in, his son. And I said, well, you know, he's a lovely boy and stuff, but he's not John. It wouldn't be the Beatles. It'd be something else. But we've actually, just this year, we've got out of a lot of business troubles we had. And it took us about 20 years to sort out. We've eventually sorted most of that stuff out. In fact, all of it. So there is a chance that we might get back together and just you know, ease our way in with little projects. Maybe the three of us would play a bit of music together. That'd be nice.
Oh, it'd be
Just
fabulous,
for fun,
wouldn't it?
yeah. It wouldn't be a Beatles reunion, but it'd be the
but
three of us getting together again, which would be a laugh anyway.
Yes. When you look back on all that Beatles thing and everything, do you think it sort of happened to somebody else? Do you know what I mean, the feeling?
I still do. I think this tonight will be somebody else going out there and doing that singing. And once you start to think, you know, it's not a show and this is my real life and I'm really that person. I mean, I just do an entertainment thing for these people. And I've always had a great relationship with audiences. It's like we're having a bit of a laugh. There's never any of this, oh, I'm going to sing for you now, you behave yourselves. It's always like, oh, come off it, Paul. It's okay though, that's fame, that's public eye, you know, that's show business. The word show business, you know, it is a show.
Tantalising stuff, eh? The thought of three of them back together again, at least.
Yes. I think they will as well, because they've settled all their differences now, and wouldn't it be sensational? It was such a great night, you know. I mean, I sat there for the first half hour, not sort of doing anything, just sort of listening, and all the memories that come back. You know, he's sort of going through yesterday and all those songs. He does lots of Beatles stuff as well there.
So he does the lot,
amazing.
because there's a different sound to that Paul McCartney we heard there as
Yes, yes, but he does lots of the old stuff and a lot of rock and roll. It's the most fabulous night.
And
you're going to come on the 26th, aren't you?
Hold me back, absolutely.
See what an old rocker.
No, we have a second half, of course. Of that
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. When he talks a lot.
When is that? That's not next week.
No, it's the week after that, and then we're
Right.
going to do a day in his life for the BBC that will be shown later in the year.
Wonderful.
Yes,
we
it'll
look
be
forward
really
to
good,
all
won't
of that.
it?
Anyway, so
Fabulous.
that's it. A fortnight's time for the second half of Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney. Now, back on stage with a series of concerts in 12 countries around the world. He's chosen to use his first tour for over 10 years to draw attention to the growing threat to the environment and to promote the pressure group Friends of the Earth. In the second part of her interview, Cathy McGowan talked to him about his family and the issues behind his world tour.
I like to fix it. I hate to see things go so wrong. The darkest night.
I love the new single. Put it there. It's just so you. That's how I think of you. Not as a rocker, but it's the words and the tune and everything. I think it's really good. It's lovely.
Well, thank you, Kath.
That's what a father said to his young son.
I'm very conscious about being in showbiz. You've got to keep a home life. You know, if you're away too much, the kids start to not know who you are. And I had plenty of friends in show business where I'd see their children running to their nannies saying, "Mummy."
Oh, I know, I've seen it.
You've seen that. You know, and I thought, oh, I'm never going to do that. So we've never had a nanny. You know, Linda does all the cooking.
Yeah.
She doesn't do all the cleaning. We've got someone to help with the cleaning. I mean, you know, there's a limit to what she can do. But people do say, God, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how she does it.
It's amazing, isn't it?
But she does it in order to keep in touch with the kids, so that, like, she's the mum, I'm the dad, so we see them every single day. And okay, we go out to work, but so do other parents. I mean, I don't want to seem too soppy, but we do love our kids, you know, and we're lucky that way. They seem to even love us.
But you get on so well. I mean, she's on the stage with you, isn't she? And she had a lot of stick when she first started that, but it works. Doesn't it work, your marriage? It's great.
Well, I mean, you know, you touch wood. Yeah, we think it works, you know. We have our arguments. I mean, sometimes, you know, I read like one of the women's magazines and I think, oh, you know, just looks like, you know, paradise. And then the next day we'll be arguing about something. You know, we're an ordinary couple in that respect. But I think you've got to. You know, you've got anything's bothering you, you've got to have a bit of a Barney, clear the air, and then we're okay again.
You've got a completely normal, ordinary...
It's funny, like...
well, you're not a star,
this
are
morning,
you?
Linda and I were out riding. We love to ride horses. She taught me, you know, years ago. So, but it's nice because you get the balance, you get the kind of fresh air and the ordinariness of, you know, just meeting people, just being out in nature and stuff. And then you come here to this very sort of sophisticated hybrid of a beast, which is like playing in Wembley, you know, it's a big deal.
You got me running in a bigger bay. Don't know if I'm coming or going, early or late. Right around the ring I go. I gotta know.
We've given a platform to the Friends of the Earth, the environment group. And so at every show, there's a free program that's given out. Again, you know, that's to show that we're not just in it for the money, which everyone in the audience gets, which is a nice program, and it means you don't have to go and buy the big glossy £5 job if you can't afford it, and you still take some home as a souvenir. And I do an announcement saying, you know, if you get a chance to vote, tell your politicians you want to live in a clean world. Yeah, me and Linda are very involved with that. I realise I always was since I was a kid, you know, even though I lived up in Liverpool, I lived on an estate, and right on the edge of my estate, there was like the country, because my mum was a midwife, so we were always like moved to the furthest point from civilization, you know, it was like, send the McCartneys in, wagons roll. So like the streets were never built, you know, when I grew up. We were always in like a, you know, a house just being built in an area that was just being made. But it did mean that I was near the countryside, so I kind of would pop out with my little Observer's Book of Birds, the feathered variety.
You said that.
No. And I'd go out, you know, and say, oh, that's a spotted warbler and that's a thrush and stuff. So I have always loved that. And now I think last year, '89, looked like the year when everyone found out, you know, that there was a big hole in the ozone layer. I think it put anything better in its place. They put like yuppiedom in its place, which is like, you know, take the money and run. And I think now you are going to find a little bit of a return to, you know, maybe some more sensitive things. I mean, it looks like we've got to, really, if you ask me, or blow ourselves up.
Strawberry fields forever.
And he is going out with a bang. Now, Kathy, he's off on a tour, 12 months or something
I know,
like that.
it's amazing, isn't it?
I mean,
With
he's
all
talking
that-
about his family, but how do you manage with a family if you're going on tour
He
like
just does. He just... And
Do the
two of
children
them,
go with him, or what?
Yes, 2 of them are grown up now, though, so that's not a problem. There's just one
Right.
little one that goes with them.
that? Now, how do you follow Paul McCartney? What comes next?
Oh, do you know, I mean, someone I've always wanted to meet, I've never actually met before, but I'm going to have tea with him on tomorrow, so you'll see it next week. Boy George.
Oh, yes, the
So he's
famous cup
back,
of tea.
and,
Boy George,
yes,
the famous cup of tea.
yes.
We look forward to that. Anyway, stay with us, because we've got a very heartwarming